Okay, so hello everyone. Good afternoon. Am I audible? आवाज आ रही है आप लोगों को?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so welcome you all again, and we'll start with our new subject, which is I hope the slide and the presentation is visible. It is advanced manufacturing techniques too for industrial infrastructure. Fine. So this is the basic credit structure which is visible in front of you. We'll have three lectures in it, and we'll have a 3-hour lab session for it, which is scheduled on Tuesday from 3:15 to 6:45. The subject is of 5 credits as shown here. There are some prerequisites written here. That is, you should have a basic knowledge of UG subjects like sorry, manufacturing processes, basic understanding of manufacturing processes, basics of automation, and finite element method and statistics. Okay, so these things you should have a bit understanding. And the subject is jointly taken by me and Dr. Navneet Khanna. So half of the syllabus will be coordinated by Dr. Navneet Khanna. Fine. Okay. So to start with, this is our syllabus. Uh, it is uh, in 3 parts. It is divided into 3 parts. The first part, which you can see, it is the joining processes or joining technology. Then the second part is about the automation, and the third part is about the machining technology. Okay, so likewise, it is divided into 3 parts. The first part, that joining technology, I am taking, and the third part, machining technology, will be taken by Dr. Navneet Khanna. The automation will be shared by both of us. Uh, the first part, which is joining technology, will start today with the first part about the joining technology. What is joining technology? What are various techniques in the joining technology? In it, will provide an advanced knowledge of the joining technology and the corresponding joining techniques and processes. So you might have heard of various joining techniques in your undergraduate program. Okay, so we'll start with those basics. We'll touch up with those basic techniques. We'll once go through those basic techniques one by one, in short, in brief, and then we'll add up in those techniques with a little bit advancement. Okay, and since the course is focused on the infrastructure technology, so so what is the specific application of these joining techniques in the industry and various industrial fields, particularly like the railways, the marine, the automobiles, the aerospace? Okay, so in relation to this, the techniques will be discussed, and we'll also trying to understand the mechanics or mechanism of the joining, the effect of joining on the microstructure, the heat affected zone, through some of the finite element modeling. Okay, so this is what the overall syllabus of the joining technology is there. Then we have automation. So automation, you can read, it is written that this is intended to impart knowledge in the field of automation and robotics, which is of the interest to various manufacturing industries. So what nowadays various manufacturing industries are using this automation in the form of robots, so that you can reduce the time of manufacturing. Okay, enhance the speed of manufacturing. Okay, so that's why the automation is required. So we'll study these techniques. Our special focus would be on the robot as one of the key element of the FMS and production engineering. So these things will be covered in the automation part, and the last part, which is very interesting, the machining technology part. In it, in this part, we'll provide the insight of little details of the machining processes and what are the various working mechanism in the machining processes. Uh, okay, so how various various type of materials are machined, how to measure the cutting forces during the machines, how the cutting force, what is the relation between the cutting force and the surface roughness, what is the relation between the input parameters, sorry, the input parameters, the depth of cut, speed, on the surface roughness, how to use the measurement tools for measuring the surface roughness. Okay, so these type of things will be discussed in the machining technology. So this is a broad picture of what we will be discussing in the theory classes. Apart from theory classes, you have the laboratory work and scientific project work. So in laboratory work, some experimental research you have to do. Uh, so you need to prepare some of the experiments in the laboratory and conduct those experimental work in the laboratory. Okay, and then we have a scientific project work. So in this you will prepare your own problem, like we have in our previous subject. We have to have one topic based on the research papers. You have to find one topic, and then you have to come up with the solution in some format, in some coding format, using some FEM softwares, okay, related to machining, automation, or welding or joining processes. Fine. So so the beauty of this course is that it is an open-ended type course. So whatever it is not restricted, it is not restricted us to certain structured syllabus. So we don't have any, strictly speaking, any structured syllabus. We can use whatever the new techniques are there. We'll discuss those things. Okay. So that's how we'll go through this subject. Okay, and these are some of the reference books initially I have written. As the syllabus will proceed, I will keep mentioning the important books from where you can read the things. Okay, so these are some of the important books which we'll be referring. Marking scheme right now, I have not finalized. I have to finalize it after speaking with Professor Navneet Khanna. So in Broadway, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It will have 6 components. So we'll have assignment or quiz number one, assignment or quiz number two. Okay, so two assignment or quizzes will be there. Then we'll have one mid sem, one end sem. Then some of the marks will be for the laboratory work, or whatever work you are doing in the lab. You have to go to the lab, and we'll show you what facilities we have in our lab, what high-end research we are doing in our lab, and then you can try to work in the lab. Okay, and then the scientific project part. Okay, so among these six broad fields, you have to use, or you have to gain marks. Okay, so this was about the introduction. So today we'll start our discussion with the topic number one, which is about the joining technology. So I hope most of you have already gone through the basic courses in joining technology. You know what are various type of joints, how they are formed, what are various type of joining techniques. Okay, so we will start with it. We'll touch will brush up our knowledge which we have studied during our undergraduate program. So in joining technology, we will see the classification of the joining technology, whatever joining technologies are there, what are their classification, the physics of welding, what is the physics of welding, and what are the various modified welding processes. Okay, so we'll go through them one by one. Okay, so in the last semester also, we studied about the engineering design for infrastructure. So in that subject, we discussed about the infrastructure in a bit detail. What is different type of infrastructure is there, and what are the things which comes under infrastructure. Okay, so so under infrastructure we have various fields, and most of all these fields, almost all these fields require the knowledge of welding or machining or automation. Okay, so if you go to railways, okay, so railway infrastructure is very big infrastructure. The compartments are there, the manufacturing of compartments are there, the the rail are there. Okay, so the rails are required to join through special type of techniques, welding techniques like thermit welding. Okay, so these require the knowledge of machining and joining processes. Okay, the aerospace industries where a new type of materials are used. Okay, lightweight material like aluminum alloys are used. So how we can join the the parts, various components made of aluminum alloys or titanium alloys. Okay, so there also the techniques are used. Marine are there. Okay, marine or submarines are there. They work under the salty environment and the aqueous environment. The corrosion problems are there. So what type of manufacturing techniques are required in the marine side? The automobiles are there, very thin sheets. If you have seen the cabinets or cabins of the automobiles, they are made of very thin sheets. So we used to use the spot welding to join the sheets. Okay, so the special techniques are required in the automobiles. Highways are there. You need to have, you need to make the bridges. Okay, different type of you have to join the beams and pillars to make the highways or the flyovers. Health technology, in the sector of health technology, the high performing material. Even in the field of computer and electronics also, you have to join or solder the various parts of the circuitry. Various wires are there, various connections are there. Petrochemical technologies are there. uh, Water supply and distribution in agricultural field also, in radio and television, even in household applications. So you can see in almost everywhere we need to have some type of joining or some type of machining. Okay, so these techniques give us an idea that what will be the right technique to join different type of material in different type of service condition, and different type of reliability requirement. Okay, so these are the broad areas where we'll discuss, we are going to discuss the processes which will be used. So to start with, to the introduction of the joining processes. So joining requires only two parts which we can join together. Okay, in any specific desired way, required way. So as the definition written here is that one of the manufacturing processes. So joining process is one of the manufacturing process among the several manufacturing processes. We have a machining process. Okay, which in which we are removing the material through various modes. Okay, so let's say this is the extra material and we are removing the material. Okay, so the removal of material is taking place. So it is a negative material change rate process. Then we have forming processes and casting processes. In forming also, there is this material is there. We need to change the shape of the material, either at the room temperature or by heating it, so that it can have the softness in the strength. Okay, so forming is there, casting is there. We melt the material and then give it some shape. So these type of processes, uh, in a broad sense, we are just changing one form into another form. Let's say this is the billet. Initial form is there, and we are giving it some new shape. Okay, so we'll say that these are zero volume change processes. There is no change in volume in these processes. Okay. However, there are some losses also. While casting, you will get some scrap of the material. Some of the part, some of the material will get oxidized. So these type of losses are there. Then we have the welding part or joining part, where there are two metals which are joined together with or without application of the filler material. So if one material is this and another material is like this, okay, and if we are joining the two materials, we may or may not require to add the filler material. Okay, so in one way we can say that it is the process which is a positive volume change process. We are adding something. Okay, so nowadays we are improving the welding technology, some of the welding technology in such a way that we can add up or we can build the structures, that is known as the additive manufacturing, also one of the one of the type of the additive manufacturing. Okay, so in this regard, it is an special technique in which is only a positive volume change technology. Okay, so among the various manufacturing processes, it is one of the manufacturing process in which two or more material can be permanently or temporarily joined. Okay, so that the joint can be either of the permanent nature or of the temporary nature. So the two materials can be joined either in a permanent way or in a temporary way, or assembled together with or without application of external element. Okay, so the external element may be the external pressure, the external application of heat, the addition of filler material or without the addition of the filler material, or the addition of the adhesive bonds, adhesive resins to form a single unit. Fine. So we can have the bulk joining, the bigger pipe, like the pipelines. We are joining the pipelines in the refineries, uh, gas lines. Okay, so these are known as bulk joining. Fine. Then we have the micro joining. Micro joining, we have the joining like soldering is there, or micro circuits are there, chips are there. We are joining at the micro level, or at the level of nano level. Okay, so we are joining stuff at nano level also. Okay, so there are different areas: macro, micro, nano. So there all in all these areas we require the joining. Okay, so among the joining processes, we have special type of joining process which is known as the welding process. So broadly, we define joining processes as the one of the manufacturing process type of one of the manufacturing process where two or more parts are fused together by means of heat or pressure, or with or without utilization of filler material. Okay, so both forming a joint as a part spool. So we fuse together two or more parts with the help of heat or pressure. Okay, so it may be that the heat is there, or the pressure is there, both may be required, or at sometimes one of the force is required for the joining purpose. Okay, so the joining processes or the welding processes are generally done on the metals and thermoplastics. Okay, so why studying and understanding welding processes is important? Because when we are joining something, so let's say this is the material one, and this is material 2. Okay, and if we want to join them, let's say this is the weld. Okay, so when you are joining them or welding them, after welding, they become a set of one unit, a single unit. Now, when they are under some service or they are performing their part, there may be application of load or some force or pressure may be acting at them. Uh, at that time we don't want our joint to break or fall apart. Okay, so they may fall apart due to the various type of weld defects. The gases can penetrate inside the weld joint. It may weaken the weld joint, or there can be some oxides which are inside the weld joint, and some gaps, some defects, various type of defects can be there. Okay, so what they can cause, they can cause the defects, and uh, they can result in uh, the decrease in the quality of the joint. Okay, and when these joints are placed at this the service requirement, at that time the catastrophic failure will can happen. If we are doing welding at the boiler, the pressure vessels are there, boilers are there, and if a pressure vessel or boiler fails due to the defects in the weld, then it can cause to the harm to the main power. Okay, it can be hazardous to the life of the persons who are there. Okay, it can cause loss of life, loss of money. Okay, so we don't want that. That's why understanding the about the welding process or the joining processes, and right type of joining processes is very much required. Okay, so a generic classification is done here uh, about the joining processes. So the joining processes, there are various type of classification. Okay, so you can get different type of classification in different type of books. So there is no fixed type of classification. So if you go through various type of books, you will get various type of classification based on various aspects. Okay, what type of input energy is there? Based on that, the classification can be there. What type of materials we are using, based on that the classification can be there. Okay, so it is very difficult to understand them under one set of criteria for classification. So what I have done, that I have tried to make a generic classification. So overall joining processes are there. We want to join two different type of things here. They can be atomic bonding, okay, the bonding at the atomic scale, where the microstructure is changing, the materials are fusing inside one of them. Okay, and there they are getting a new microstructure, maybe getting, or 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 the microstructure may be similar to the parent metal, or somewhat different in the property, mechanical property, with as compared with the parent metal. So at that level, we'll say that it is the atomic bonding, or just a mechanical bonding. Okay, so in mechanical bonding, there is no change at the microstructure level or atomic level. They are just joined together. Okay, so in mechanical bonding, if you can see here, we can have either permanent bonding. if you can see at the slides, either we can have the permanent type of bonding or temporary type of bonding. So if you are using the nut and bolt or screws and nuts, these type of bondings are temporary bonding. Means if you want to open the joint, you just have to unscrew. You need not to break the bond. Okay, so once the bond is there, and if you want to separate two parts, and if you want to, while separating two parts, if you break the bonds, then the joining is said to be permanent. Okay, so when the permanent joint is there and you want to separate the parts, you have to break the bond or break the joint. However, when the temporary bonding is there or temporary joining is there, then you have to just open up the assembly. The parts will be separate. Then again, you can fit together the two parts and make the joint. Okay, so when we are using the nut and bolt assembly or screw and nut assembly, we are not breaking the bond. Okay, we are opening the bond. We want whatever we want to do with the two parts, and then when we again want to join the parts, we can screw or pass them again back to their position and we'll get the bonding. Okay, so those type of bonds are known as temporary bonds, and the permanent bonds are there where will break the bonds. In mechanical bonding we have permanent bonding. We can have rivets. So rivets, once they are done, if you want to open or separate the parts, you have to break the rivets or you have to cut the rivets. Okay, so riveting is a type of permanent bonding which you will be knowing. Another type of bonding, a permanent type of bonding in mechanical, is the shrink fit or force fit or pressure fit is there. Okay, so the interference is there. You just heat the, let's say, the outer part is there. Let's say a wheel or a hole is there and a shaft is there, and a shaft is a little bit larger in diameter with respect to hole. So what we will do, we'll heat the hole to expand it. Then we'll insert the shaft inside the hole and then allow the wheel or hole to cool. So what we'll do, it will create a shrink fit. Okay, so that type of fit will again become a permanent type of fit. If you want to remove the force fit or shrink fit, then you have to break the bond. Okay, so these type of bondings are there in mechanical bonding. So these are at the mechanical level. We are not changing the microstructures. We are not fusing them at the atomic level. Fine. Now, in atomic bonding, you can have different type of bonding. Solid state joining is there, liquid state joining is there, or solid liquid type of mixed type of joining is there. So in atomic bonding, we have the change at the microstructure level. Okay, so we are fusing. It may be that we are fusing the material inside us. Okay, so most of them are type of you say the permanent joint only. Okay, so what most of the bonding at the atomic bonding and will be almost all type of bonding at the atomic level will be the permanent type of uh, joining. Okay, so solid state joining will be there and liquid state. So what is the difference between the solid state and liquid state bonding? Are you online? You can still listen me.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, okay. So what is difference between solid and liquid state joining? When we are heating the metals or base metals which we want to join up to their melting point. Okay, so when they are going up to a liquid state, and then we are joining and then allowing them to cool, those that type of joining is the liquid state joining. Okay, so we are heating or we are raising the temperature of the material up to their melting point. Then we are doing the fusion of the material. That type of joining is liquid state joining. In solid state joining, it is not required that we will keep, we may increase the temperature of the material, obviously, but it is not that we will raise the temperature of the material up to the heating point or the melting point. Okay, the temperature can be well below the melting point. Well, how we can do it? You might have heard of one of the example of the friction stir welding. Okay, so the two materials are there, and we have one tool which rotates over these two materials. So what happens? The softer material get deposits over the harder material. Okay, so in that case, due to the friction of the tool over the workpiece, different workpiece, the tool is causing friction, and friction is causing the generation of heat. And the heat, what heat is doing, due to heat and friction, the materials are getting at their plastic deformation stage. They are heated up, they are getting soft, and they are raised to a bit temperature, but they are not melted to their melting point, or they are not raised up to their melting point. So material get soft, and then they deposits over each other. Okay, they mix and they form a bond. So that type of bonding is friction welding. Okay, similarly pressure welding is there, and diffusion welding is there. Okay, so these type of weldings, we are not raising the temperature of material up to the melting point. So they are solid state uh, bonding or solid state welding. In liquid state, uh, what we have done, that it is also known as fusion welding, as it is written here. The workpieces are melted to their up to the melting point by chemical or electric methods, and the joint undergoes melting and solidification. So the joint, the parent metals melt at the localized melting is there. The heat is applied very localized, so that the area or the length which we want to join will only melt up to a certain limit, and then they are joined, and then we are allowing the solidification. So what will happen again after reaching to the melting point? The nucleation, the grain growth, and solidification will take place. Okay, so nucleation will happen, and then the nucleation growth will happen, and then grain boundaries will create, and then they will have a separate microstructure, or a similar type of microstructure, but with a little bit variation, and whatever with respect to the microstructure of their parent metal. Okay, so here we have to apply heat. So how we can apply heat, or how can we heat the material or the parent metals? By applying the electric current. Okay, so when we are applying the electrical current, uh, the heat is generated. Let's say the I amount of current is there, and the resistance which is there. We are applying the current for T amount of time. The energy generated, the heat generated is equals to I square RT. Okay, so for that amount of time, we are applying some current, and it will generate the heat. Okay, so you can apply the electrical energy, or you can apply the chemical energy. Okay, so in chemical energy, you can use the chemical energy of the gases. Oxyacetylizing, oxyacetylene gas welding is there. Okay, so you can burn the acetylene with the oxygen, and you can produce the flame. That flame will be there to weld the material. Okay, or you can use the newer ways, is like the laser energy, or the electron beam energy, to melt the localized part of the metal which you want to join. Okay, so there are different ways to generate heat for welding. Okay, in electrical welding, when we are applying the electrical current, we have different type of welding. The electric arc welding is there. Okay, so you have seen the electrical arc welding. We have the electrode holder, and then there these electrodes are there, and we clamp the workpiece with the ground, and we are applying some positive uh, positive uh, positive terminal to the electrode, and then we are doing the welding. Then the MIG and TIG welding are there. Metal inert gas welding, or the tungsten inert gas welding are there. Resistance welding is there. Okay, the spot welding, all these techniques comes under the electrical welding. Okay, so these are there. Then we can use the chemical energy. We can use the chemical energy. We can use the gases to melt the material, or we can use the thermic welding. The thermic welding is where the rails are joined with each other. Okay, the energy of the aluminum oxide with some explosives and iron, they are kept at the top surface of the parent metal, the rails which we want to join, and then the ignition is done. So what will happen, that aluminum oxide will burn, and the iron will go down and settle at the joint. Laser beam welding and electrode wave welding. Okay, so these weldings are there. And then apart from these type of weldings, we have some semi solid or liquid state joining processes, like brazing is there, where in liquid state welding, we are taking two materials and raising the temperature up to their melting point, and then we are joining them with the application of filler material or without the application of filler material. But if you don't want to raise the temperature of the material up to their melting point, then you can do the brazing. Okay, so in brazing or soldering, we are not melting the parent metal. Okay, so we are just adding some filler metal. So the filler metal is raised up to a temperature where it melts, and then it is deposited in the gap where we want to join the material, and then you can do the things. Okay, so brazing is there, where various thin sheets are there, we can do the brazing. Soldering is done to join the electrical circuits, wires. These type of joining are also known as heterogeneous fusion. Okay, so the material may be different. The microstructure is not changing at all. However, the filler material which we are using, it may be different from the parent material. Okay, that's why we are calling them heterogeneous fusion. However, when we are using the electrical welding, the electric arc is there, MIG is there, TIG there. In that, we are using the filler material which is of the similar composition of the parent metal. So the microstructure won't be different from the parent metal. Okay, so that's why we are calling it as the heterogeneous fusion. Okay, now one type of bonding we have, that is the adhesive bonding. In adhesive bonding, we are using some type of adhesives, like the epoxy resins are there, Fevicol is there, gums are there, to join the material. Again, we are not applying any heat or pressure on the material. We are using some third type of component, which is an adhesive, and we are applying that adhesive to the joint. Okay, so that is one way. That is very cheaper as compared to these things. The strength is not that much as we get from the other methods. The adhesives cannot work at the aqueous conditions or the higher elevated temperature conditions. Okay, but if you want to have the joining where the the material, like you want to join the wood. Okay, the parts are not electrical conductive, or the parts cannot melt easily, like the wood is there, the ceramics are there. To join those type of things, we can use this type of techniques of using adhesive bondings. Fine. So this was a broad classification of the joining processes which we have. You can see some of the joining processes shown here in the slide. The fusion welding is there. So this is the pipe. Okay, so we have used some fusion welding, maybe stick welding or MIG welding or TIG welding, whatever type of welding you will use, you will get this type of joint here. Okay, so the fusion welding is here. The spot welding, or the automobile parts or the cabin parts, the sheet metals. If you need to join the sheet metals, you can use the spot welding, or the gas welding is there. You will use the flame of the gas, burning gas, melt the material and get the joint. The brazing you can see, this is the where the braze weld and the braze joint you will get like this. This is an example of friction stir welding. This is a tool which is rotating in at some RPM and getting this speed also. Okay, so this is how you will get a friction stir joint. The adhesive joints, you will use some of the adhesives to get the adhesive joint to join the wires. You will use the soldering. Okay, so this is a solder wire and you are doing the soldering process. You are melting this wire to join the different parent wires. Okay, and these are the mechanical joints. Okay, nut and bolts are there, so pipes, these are joint using this. So based on your requirement, based on the thickness of the material, based on the mechanical and chemical properties of the material, based on the service, what type of service you want, based on the nature of the material, you will use different type of joining. Okay. Okay, so the choice of joint, what is the choice of joint? How we will choose what type of joint or what type of welding technique we require is based on some of the criterias like type of joint, whether we want to make a temporary joint or we want to make a permanent joint. Based on this requirement, we will choose the type of joint, or sorry, the type of welding or type of joining process, which type of joining process we want to have. Also the requirement of the service, what are the service conditions where the joint will actually perform. Okay, whether it will perform in the atmospheric temperature or ambient conditions or at the high elevated temperatures. If it is going to perform at the high elevated temperature, then we will use different type of technique. Or if it is going to perform at the room temperature, then we'll use the different type of technique. If we want to perform in the normal condition or the corrosive condition, okay, there may be salty water or the humidity can be more. What type of joint we'll use? We cannot use adhesives. So if the loadings are different, okay, so the load may be static loading type condition. So at that time, we'll use some simple type of welding process. If dynamic loads are there, then we can apply the mechanical joints, mechanical fasteners. Reliability. Okay, so what are the criticality of the joint? Whether the failure of joint can cause the harm to the life, or it is just it will just cause the temporary breakdown. Okay, so if the criticality is very high, then we'll use the mechanical joining like riveting. But if it is less critical, then we can go for the welding techniques also. And then we'll see the metallurgical compatibility. What is the metallurgical compatibility? If the materials are not metallurgically compatible with each other, then we have to go for the mechanical joining processes or the brazing process or soldering process, which will not cause the materials to fuse in between, make a fusion joint in between them. Okay, then we have to also see for the economic conditions also. Okay, so whether the joint which we want to have, the technique is available with us or not, or 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 we are not putting too much energy and cost to make the joint. Okay, whatever the requirement is there, based on that we will search for the most economical process to make the joint. Okay, so these are some of the things which we have to see or look through before using or before making a joining process. Uh, so in joining process, there are two type of things. One, we have a localized heating. Okay, so we have two parts. We have two parts. So and in the parts we have some cross section. Okay, so this is one of the part, and this is another part, and this is what the area where we want to have a joint. Okay, so if we want to join them by welding, then this will be the reason where we have to apply the heat. Okay, so since we are not heating the whole of the assembly or whole of the structure at constant temperature, we are just applying heat in the local region. Due to that, we'll call that during welding, a localized heating is required at the junction where we want to get the bonding. Okay, so at this region, we'll have highly localized heating, so that that portion only will melt, and the rest of the material will not raise its temperature to the area up to the melting point or required point. Okay, so there will be a highly localized heating at the point. Okay, so during this, what happens that there is differential heating and cooling conditions arises. So here we are heating, the rest of the material is cool, or if you go in this direction, let's say this is the section which we have joined, and if you go this direction, then heat is maximum and then it decrease. Okay, so here the heat is maximum, and then it is getting cooler. So as you go away from the junction, the part which where we are heating, then you will see that the temperature is getting getting decreased. Okay, then when you are cooling it, then again the differential cooling and heating is there. The heating, the removal of heat is more, or the heat transfer is more, where we have the higher gradient of heat difference or temperature difference is there. So here at the junction, the temperature is higher, and ambient conditions, the temperature at room temperature. So heat transfer from that region will be faster than the rest of the body. Okay, so due to this, you will get the differential heating and cooling condition. So what will happen due to this differential heating and cooling condition? First, we'll have the higher heat at the required region, and then gradually, if you move away, the heat will reduce, and then cooling rate will be maximum at the junction as compared with the rest of the body. Due to that, what will happen? The residual stresses will develop in the component or in the at the joint. So you can see in this diagram, the joint where we have made the joint, the portion where we have made the joint, will the part, since it was at the higher temperature and then faster cooling rate, it will get under the tensile forces, and as we move away, the rest of the part will come under compressive forces, because it was not affected to the differential rate of heating and cooling as much as the central portion was there. So due to that, what will you get, that the central part is under tension, and the part which is away from the joint is under compression. So we got a residual stress formation. So in the central part, you can see that it is a tensile stress is there, and if you move away, the tensile stress will decrease up to some point, and then compressive stresses will be there, and then compressive stresses will also so get diminishes with the distance. Okay, so these type of differential stresses create the residual stress in the weld joint. So this is one of the drawbacks of the weld joint, that it creates the residual stresses, which causes the problem in the strength, which causes the uh, compromisation in the strength of the weld joint. Okay, so we have to do some post weld treatment, heat treatment, or we'll apply some ball pinning or short pinning at the joint to remove this type of uh, residual stresses. Then we have the partially melted zone. If you can see, this is the fusion zone. Okay, so this is the fusion zone, and if you go away from the fusion zone, then you will get a liquid zone, and then semi-liquid zone. Okay, and then heat affected zone will be there, and then the unaffected base metal is there. Okay, so if you move away from the fusion zone, you will get different type of reasons at at the different sections of the material. Okay, due to that, when the cooling is getting, the microstructure will also different at different sections. Okay, so due to this partially melted zone or other partially melted zone, we'll have different type of the microstructure. Either the microstructure will be there, some of the parts will have the epitaxial growth, and some of the parts will have the growth due to nucleation and grain growth. Okay, so this type of differential microstructure will obtain during the cooling of the weld zone. Okay, so that is another problem. Other problem is that the different section of the weld zone will have different weld thermal cycle or different thermal cycle. So what is thermal cycle? Let's say we have a section. This is the fusion zone. Okay, this is the location of heat source. This is where we are. This is where we are heating, and this is the fusion zone. You can take some section, let's say section A here, section B here, section C here. At different locations, you can have different points. And if you plot if you measure the temperature of any section at different interval of time. So let's say this is the axis which shows time, and this is the axis which shows the temperature. Okay, so initially the temperature will be higher. Okay, initially the temperature will be higher, and then gradually it will decrease. Okay, so when if you go away, the maximum temperature will be different, and then it will cool down at different. So okay, so each and every section will have its unique weld thermal cycle. So this is known as thermal cycle. Weld thermal cycle. Well, thermal cycle means the change in temperature. If we plot the time in change in temperature with respect to time of any section of the weld, then it will shows the weld thermal cycle. So if you take the different sections A, B, C, we'll see that if A is the nearest to the fusion zone, it will have the maximum temperature, and then it will rise also fast because heat transfer rate will be fast. The B portion, it is having different maximum temperature, and its cooling rate is different because the temperature difference is different here. The C point, it is having different maximum temperature, and its cooling rate is different. So each and every part is having its own weld thermal cycle, which is again causing the differential type of stresses or residual stresses in the weld zone. So these are some of the things which causes problem or which compromises the quality of the weld. To remove or to overcome these type of things, we have to do some post processing in the welding, heat treatment. We have to do the short pinning or ball pinning process to remove the stresses. Okay, so this was up to this. I think is enough for the today's class. We'll continue in the next class from this slide. Okay. So, any question in today's class?
No, sir.
Okay. Okay. So, thank you for joining. We'll meet in the next class. Have a nice day.